If you're buying KASPA right now, I've got a massive warning for you, because there is a very high chance that you're going to lose money trading crypto in these markets. And KASPA is a perfect example of this. And I'm going to talk about exactly what is wrong with it in this video. So hit the like button and let's get into it. Now guys, before you get all emotional when you go into the comments and you write something mean because, you know, I disrupt your confirmation bias that KASPA is a great coin and blah, blah, blah. KASPA is a great project. I believe it's going to have a really good upside potential. But there's a big problem with KASPA right now. Diving into crypto bubbles, you can see that KASPA is up 110%. And in fact, that 110% happened very recently in the last few weeks. Well, so why is it such a big deal? Big problem? Well, guys, let's look at something right now. This Bitcoin volume falls to a 3-year low as summer activity sags. And you're like, what is summer activity? Well, I don't know about you, but I am trying to spend less time sat inside working. But actually, now I'm back in England and the weather sucks. I actually got lots of time to work. So fine. But most people are out doing other things, which means they have less time and less interest in participating in cryptocurrency. Therefore, the volume is super low. It's normal. But the problem with this is everyone just goes to sleep on this and doesn't care. The only thing they're paying attention to is the coins that are pumping, such as KASPA, XDC, XRP, and Rollbit, which has come out of nowhere, XLM as well. Okay, but not so much. I noticed the views on my channel are down, and it's not just because the backdrop I've got currently sucks, but it's because people are just off doing other things. Crypto's boring right now. I get it. And you're burying your head in the sand like a stupid ostrich. Sorry. But this is when you really need to be paying attention and not just diving into coins like KASPA right now, because you will get wrecked. I tell you over and over again, now is not the time to be buying KASPA. Now is the time potentially to be taking profits out of KASPA, putting them into something else. If you just want to buy and hold KASPA, I do believe that it's going to be much higher in the future. But if we look into a KASPA chart right now, you know, look at it. It's been rallying hard since the 9th of June. I had a little bit of a pullback, but there's a high chance that you end up with a pullback. Look, guys, this is what happened last time we saw a massive rally in KASPA. It went from here all the way up the top, and then look, it pulled back 76%. 76%. I guarantee that if you dive in, you FOMO into a coin like KASPA, it might not happen, but at some point it's going to happen and you're going to be down 76%. Sorry. If KASPA comes down 76%, then you're looking at what? Down here, somewhere, you know, towards the bottom of this. Does it make sense that you could end up back here? Potentially. You know, you can see that you could end up all the way back here, and then you, if you were patient, you could have bought there and you could be up 294%. Now, if you were subscribed to my channel, guys, then you would have actually been buying down here, because I've told you that this was probably a buy zone because we identified this area having a bit of sideways action here. We then get a nice aggressive pump. They said, you know, don't buy these pumps, we might get a pullback. We got this pullback here, we pumped again. Now, if you bought in here, fine. You actually probably wouldn't have been that disappointed until it got down here. And then you can load up again. But look, it bounced once, it pushed, and then it bounced the second time. And if you were subscribed, you would have been buying in here, and then you would have been now sat from this point around here where I was buying, you'd be now up 187%. Rather than if you just bought that previous pump and you'd be up 15%, or if you were buying right now, you literally don't even know if it's going to carry on higher or whether it's just going to put it back against you, because there's a high chance that the higher it gets, that the bigger it can pull back. And there's a big reason, guys, and there's a big reason, and you fail to think about this. Everyone who's bought in lower down are going to start to take money off the table. Imagine if you put in 10 grand down here. 10 grand. You might not have 10 grand, but someone else would have put in 10 grand. 10 grand, and 10 grand goes up from here, and it goes up 294%. That means they would have made themselves $29,000 in that time. They would have made themselves around $29,000. Would you start pulling out some money if that was you? If you had 10 grand and you put in 10 grand and turned it into $39,000, would you pull out some money? I would, and I'm sure many people out there would, which means more people are starting to sell at these high levels, and less people are prepared to buy, because the smarter money isn't buying right now because they've seen the pump. So guys, don't FOMO in to projects. I don't care how good you think the project is. I don't care how good someone tells you that project is. every project within crypto pumps for a few different reasons, but mostly because of the hype and excitement behind how good a project is. It's not the project just being worth that much. Right now, if projects are pumping, great, they'll continue to pump throughout the rest of the market for sure, but you need to wait for the pullback. If you can't control yourself on, let's say, KASPA, and let's say in this scenario that you buy now and KASPA carries on and does this, brilliant, you think, excellent. It is good, obviously you doubled your money, but I guarantee you're not going to pull your money out. And then what you're going to do is in the future, you're going to jump into another coin that's going to be pumping, and then you're going to jump into another coin, and you might get lucky because you might end up in a bull market where you can kind of get away with this silly activity. And then you're going to keep buying those spikes and keep buying those spikes. And then one day you're going to buy, I'm going to use Solana as an example, and you're going to buy this. And then this is going to happen to you. You're going to buy that spike, and then you're going to wake up the next morning or a few mornings after having a few too many beers to celebrate. You'll be down 44, 45%. And you're going to be like, oh, it's all over, and you're going to sell everything because you have no discipline, and you're going to panic sell everything here, and you're going to be down 45%. And then what you're going to do is you're going to jump into another coin to try and cut your losses, and you're going to jump into Mana Decentraland, and you're going to jump in here, and then it's going to pull back 51%. So if you can understand what I'm saying, I'm basically saying that you need to be able to control the impulse on the impulse buys and impulse sells, and the only way to do that is to have a set plan in place. Now, typically, guys, we go with a rule in trading of the trend is your friend until the end. Okay, and that's fair enough. And that's a reasonable rule to stick by. I would imagine that KASPA is going to continue in an upwards trajectory, but not before some form of pullback. And how do I think that we're going to get a pullback? Well, look what's going on here. These wicks up at the top indicate the bulls are running out of pressure, or running out of buys. They haven't got enough money to keep pushing it up because people keep taking sells. So what eventually will happen is it could well pull back. And if it pulls back, how do I know where it's going to go to? Well, there's areas we can pay attention to. There's one up here, and there's one slightly lower down, which is this. Now this represents as a previous line of resistance, which typically flips into support. Now, if we are to fall back to that level, you're going to come down around 14%, okay? But realistically, I actually think that we would likely, if we get a pullback from this zone, if we might continue up, if we get a pullback, then this is my area of interest. Now, this represents for me a buy zone. How do I know that it's a buy zone? Well, look, when it comes back down and pushes up, look at how aggressively it pushes out of this space. It does it here as well. Look at this wick. It shows that this is where the buyers sit. This is where there was a big purchase coming in here. Big purchases pushing it. Came back down. Big pushes coming in. And if it comes back down here and starts to show a candle wick, which is this thin line underneath, starts to show a candle wick somewhere around here, then I've got a good opportunity to be buying in. And then if it pumps back to that high, then I'm up 34% rather than buying now and then being sat down, which could happen for a while, sat down 26%. Now, guys, I get it. You might be like, well, what if it keeps going? And it might. And you know what? You should have been paying attention a month ago when everyone else was buying the other pumps in other coins. You should have been paying attention to these coins because I was talking about them on this channel. And if you're not subscribed, you should be for this reason. Okay, because I told you that we saw an aggressive pump here. We identified the buy zone, sat here. We got back down into the buy zone and said, I'm buying it. And look what happened. Now we're up here. Okay, so if it keeps going in this scenario, let's say it keeps going, then you'll have to admit to yourself that it's going to hurt a bit to keep it watching it going because you'll be like, well, I missed it. You're right. You did miss it, and that's fine. But you have to say that you missed it and accept that you've missed it, right? Because at some point, I promise you, it's going to pull back. And if it pulls back, and it does this, then you have to accept that you missed all of this. And that might not make much logical sense. Because you're like, well, isn't it much better to have got in here than it is to get in up here? Theoretically, you're right, but it's not right, guys, because it's teaching you something which is really, really dangerous. And the whole point of this video is the danger comes from the lack of discipline in being able to control the trades that you take. Because at some point, for the example I used earlier, you're going to pull the trigger on something that's going to rip back against you, and you're going to get absolutely wrecked. Accept that KASPA is a great coin. Accept that there are thousands of other cryptos out there that are yet to pump. And then go and find something else to buy right now. KASPA will pull back. It's worth holding, in my opinion, in your portfolio, in my opinion, not financial advice, but not right this second. Wait for a pullback, guys. It's going to happen. Every time it pumps, it might feel in your head like it's never going to come back again. And I'm sure that everyone who's buying here thought the same. And then look, it comes back. It's going to come back at some point. It might not come back now, might not come back for a while, but it's going to come back. And I guarantee if you can train yourself to buy only the pullbacks and wait patiently, then you're going to be much happier down the line. Guys, if you enjoyed that video, slightly different, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel and you want more of this stuff, real talk, crypto stuff, subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.